My name is Josh Wagner. I'm the general manager of Cliff Butte PMC here in Adrian. And I also sit on the board of directors for the Adrian Chamber. It has been exciting to help try and put together Regenerate this year. If you see Ann Hughes, make sure you give her a big thank you because she's worked extremely hard getting a group of people together to make this possible. Over the past 12 months, I have had the privilege of watching our business grow, due large in part to some contributions from our next speaker. It is a very big challenge for small business to track social media, and I think that this next presentation is going to give a lot of insight to anyone sitting in the room of what exactly to look for. JD is responsible for overseeing the direction of digital marketing for the internet marketing product line for automotive dealerships. He has personally optimized over 250 individual websites and coordinated the optimization of thousands of websites. JD is recognized in the industry as the foremost authority of automotive SEO and is a renowned social media expert. On top of all this, JD is one of the most principle-driven people I've ever met. If you follow him on Facebook, LinkedIn, or any of the social media sites, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. With that being said, please welcome JD Rucker.
Thank you, Josh. I'm honored to be here today in front of you all, and I'm most honored by the last part of that. That's very touching. We try in our lives to do right, and marketing is business. You guys are here for business, but I think if you take it in your heart and do what's right for the world, that you'll be better off. But I'm not going to preach, so don't worry. By show of hands, who here is willing to raise your hand if asked a question? Come on, get them up. I believe in big interaction. I believe that people should get involved with these presentations. And today's presentation is about, for lack of a better word, stinking. Most social media presences stink, okay? For businesses, even for individuals. And that's not to say that you should be told how to do social media as an individual, but to me, you kind of should. But we're not going to talk about personal social media today. We're going to be talking about business. Now, by show of hands, who has a Facebook page for your business? Who has a Facebook profile? Oh, you know what? Even better yet. Who does not use Facebook in this room? 6, 7, 8, 9. Gotcha. 10. Thank you. So 10. And I noticed that a lot of it was very shot it up, proud to be one of the few. I'm proud of you. I can tell you this. If I did not make money and have my business based on Facebook, I probably wouldn't use it. Not for any other reason, but because it's, from a principle perspective, from what it's doing in the world, you may or may not be able to use it. You may be able to get benefit out of it. I would not. But that's good, and I think that gives me a good perspective because I look at it scientifically. I look at it as how it can affect and benefit businesses. Not just Facebook, there's Twitter, Google+, Pinterest. And today, we're going to figure out whether or not yours stinks. But first, let's determine why it can't stink. You don't want to be that person. And that's not to say, again, those people that raised your hand and said you're not on Facebook, that's not to say that you're that person by sticking your head in the sand. But with that said, if you are sticking your head in the sand as a business, you need to stop, okay? Your customers are paying attention, even if you're not, okay? If you say, you know what, I don't have a Facebook presence, you might have a Facebook presence for your business and not know about it. You know how? They might be talking about you. They can create a page. You don't have to be the business owner to create a Facebook page about a business. As a matter of fact, there is an industry right now that's focused specifically on finding businesses that are not paying attention and hijacking them. Not hijacking them like their actual business or their website, not hacking or anything like that. Hijacking their presence on Facebook. Is that scary? Show of hands? Thank you. Now, Google and Bing are definitely paying attention. Who does a search for your business by name? At least once a month, we'll say. You should. If you're taking notes, write that down. Forget everything else I'm about to say. Search for your name and see what's being said about you. Every variation. It doesn't matter whether what city you're in, how it's spelled, if you have one that's hard to spell. Make sure to search for every variation, because if you don't, you might be surprised. Okay? Google and Bing are paying attention. They're showing Facebook almost entirely, okay, especially Bing. Twitter has a feed that goes directly into Bing, and Google pays close attention to it. Obviously, Google Plus is on every single page. You got Pinterest is now integrated into Bing Images. It's huge. They are watching. Now, this is a concept that, I work with car dealers, and I work with a lot of non-car dealers. You'll notice down at the bottom, KPA, that's the automotive side. Sociable is the non-automotive side. And when I work with car dealers in particular, some of them say, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want people to complain there. You want them to complain there. You want them to. Why? Because you can respond? Because it fades slower, lower, lower. Goes on your feed. It's like, wow, this is bad. It's in front of a lot of people. Well, that's good. Why? Because you can reply. And now you can show people that you care. You can actually get more benefit out of negative reviews on social media than you can out of positive sometimes. People expect positive reviews. They're looking for dirt, okay? If they're looking at reviews, if they're looking at your reviews, they're looking for what you're doing wrong. So how you reply to that, how you handle the bad, is almost more important than the good itself. Last but not least, driving business. I think a lot of people get into this mindset that social media is all for branding. It's all for feeling good, for touching the community. All these things are important, but it can also drive business. I think that we've learned that on our side, working with dealers and non-dealers, we've seen actual people coming in and saying, yeah, I saw you guys on Facebook. I'm here to buy a car. Yeah, I saw you guys on Facebook. Tell me more about your service. We see that, but you have to do it the right way. And by the right way, I mean you have to do it with the community in mind, but you also have to be aggressive. You can't just go for branding. And I'll talk about that here shortly. But first, you smell that? I'm going to go over 7 things. This is how you can tell, okay? It's really easy. You can tell technically in about 3 or 4 minutes if your Facebook presence stinks. You can tell in 10 seconds if it stinks, if it looks like this. Now, I know you probably can't see it on the screen. I'm going to walk over here. This is their last post. Now, I took the screenshot about 2 months ago. Their first and last post was May 12th, 2012. If you look in the right corner, you'll see they have 1,400 people that have liked the page. If you look on the left side over here, you're wondering, what is that? That's Google. Up top, you got the dealership, or in this case, it was a dealership. Second, you've got some other third, but then down here, right below the map, there's Facebook. It's popping up in Google. Despite them doing nothing, it's popping up. Okay? If yours looks like this, if you're not being very active, that you know it. I mean, I'm not going to make anybody raise your hand on that one. You've got to get active. Now, some people say, I don't have time. How do I do that? How can I possibly get active with this? Or I start, and then I stop. I can't make time. Okay, work it in. Set a schedule. Make sure, you check your email every day, probably multiple times a day. Set time to do this. You can do it And I need to send a link out to how to do it in 10 minutes. You could do your social media presence in 10 minutes a day. Just boom, boom, boom. Just checkbox, okay, got it, done. Even if you don't bought into what it can do for you, at least defend it. At least make sure that you're doing those things. You don't want to go a day, well, I'll check my email, I don't know, next week. There might be stuff there. Okay? Let me go back to this one. I forgot to point something out. Over here, I should have left the dates up. Recent posts by others. People were posting on the wall since they were there. So even if you don't believe in increasing business through social media, you should believe in it from a defensive perspective. Okay? So set a schedule. Number 2. This is my favorite one. No, I'm not going to ask by a show of hands. I know for a fact that some of you out there use your Facebook page to post less than relevant content that has nothing to do with your business. And you probably think, maybe you read it, maybe a guru told you. The whole purpose of me being here today is to wipe out the gurus. You need to be able to do this yourself. So if you are posting irrelevant content, this is an example of one. If you're posting irrelevant content that has nothing to do with your business, you might be thinking, well, I'm just trying to fit in. This is the stuff that's popular. I've seen this work. I've seen pages and people post this stuff and it gets massive likes. Don't I want to do that? Do I want to fit in? Do you? Who wants to fit in on Facebook? Better question. Who wants their business to stand out on Facebook? Exactly. So, what can you do? This is the easy one. Stop that, okay? This, again, was a car dealership. They put their watermark here, right there, okay? They had the dealership's watermark on this meme. They didn't take the picture. This is just a funny picture they found on 9gag or Reddit or BuzzFeed or wherever, and they put their watermark on it. That's bad, okay? Don't do that. Don't do that. But what can you do? You can be the authority. Now, you look at an image like this, and the question is, who can post this? This is a question. Somebody. Yes? A vet. Very good. Who else? Pet store? What was it? I didn't hear you. Humane Society. Very good. Something that has to do with cats. Maybe cars, but at least cats. Should your business post this? Is it funny? Is it cute? No time to explain. Just get in. You should not be posting this stuff. And let me ask you this. Does anybody believe that your business does not have anything interesting? And this is, somebody tell me, shoot out a business. Tell me what you do. And let's see if there's anything that can go on social media. Anybody? Yes?
Car wash.
Car wash. Okay. So don't even get me started with the obvious, pictures of that happen at car washes, cars that were filthy and not. That's the part where, has anybody seen Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz? Okay, that's not the direction you want to go. just so you know, you don't want to head down that car wash direction, even though it'd probably be very popular. It might not be too bad, but it probably wouldn't work. So off the top of my head, car wash, what would I do? I would definitely keep track of cool cars. By cool cars, I'm saying cars that come in there that are unique. I'm not saying, necessarily sports cars or older cars. But I would have somebody there, maybe have them there for, an attendant. Say, man, if a cool car comes in, ask the owner's permission and say, hey, I'd like to put this, your car's awesome. I didn't know that they made, an 83 DeLorean, I thought they were all back in time, I'd like to take a picture of yours before and after. Do you mind if I put on my Facebook page? They'd love that. And now you have people that are advocating. Dude, My four-wheel drive, yeah, you should have seen it. Oh, you want to see it? As a matter of fact, I got a picture of it. Let me show you. This is what it looked like. And look at all that mud. Look at it all. And now this is what it looks like now, before, after, stuff like that. There's actually lots that you could do. We should talk about that later. Who else? Yes?
Locksmith.
Locksmith. Okay. So, locksmith, and that's a great one to think about, because you have to think about when you're trying to be relevant, when you're trying to avoid cats, you don't necessarily do it by well, what's so fun about being a locksmith? You're trying to do, how should I say this? You're trying to, I have to say this the exact right way. You're trying to break into places, or you're trying to keep places from being broken into. So from a crime prevention or a crime causing direction, there's a lot that you could do. I saw an infographic, I guess it was about 8 months ago. It was actually a picture, oh, thank you. I was wondering why my eyes were no longer blinded. I saw a picture of, get this back up here. I saw a picture of an infographic, and it showed the greatest bank heists of all time. And it went through what they did, how they were able to get away with them. And it wasn't just banks, it was also jewels and stuff like that. Is it just not working? Stand by. It's okay, I'll remember. So you have a lot of crimes, correct, that you're trying to prevent. A lot of places that you may either be trying to break into or that you're trying to prevent people from breaking into. So play on that. Some certain places might have very intricate locks. Have you ever seen those pictures where, they've got a lock and a lock for the lock, and then they got up and down, all those. These are things that you can play on. You don't have to be taking pictures of, your tools, okay? You can be relevant and be interesting and still focus on doing things the right way. Lock picking. Do you do that? Do you have to pick locks?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how good this would be on social media. Well, it'd be great on social media. I don't know how good it would be for business. Actually, it might be great for business. But you could show people how to pick locks. They'd share the heck out of that. It would work. You might get sued, but still. Okay, there was another one I heard earlier. Was it? Web page development. That's an easy one. You've got highlights of what's happening. Technology is going up exponentially, especially on the internet. So being able to focus on responsive versus adaptive, for example. You can go through, and that could be you could do that once a week. Every Friday, just have something about web page development. Responsive versus adaptive. Does that make sense? You can also highlight some of the great developers of the past. People that have pioneers. The past, by the way, plays very well. And I'll get back to that one in a second, but I don't want to lose track of this. The past is huge on social media. We, work with Buick, GMC. Some of our most popular posts are going to be older cars. And so, from a historical perspective, you could really do a lot with that. One more. Who? A funeral home. Okay, thank you all, and all right. A funeral home. While trying to get this up and running, let me think about funeral home. With the family's permission, and this is one where you're not necessarily trying to entertain or even educate, I would, oh wow, this could be really good actually. I would use it to honor the families and the deceased. In other words, use it as a public venue to pay tribute to those willing to allow it to happen. Especially if you're able to get a really nice, what's the word for it, situation. You know, if you're able to basically get a bunch of images together and a lot of kind words from people, this is a way. You know, it's hard to say. Well, you want to drive more business. That's one way that'd be tough to. But at least you'll be able to be popular and express what's happening. I think we're getting there. Very good. You'll be able to express something for the family, something good, something positive. I don't want to end on that note. One more. I'm sorry? Septic tank cleaning. So you're dealing with messes. No, this is a good one. And here's the thing, and you got to start thinking along the lines of, you know, well, every day I'm doing really crappy work, right? But it's okay, because your focus is on messes. Your focus is on cleanup. Start thinking along the lines of, what's the best way for me to be able to really touch close to what I'm doing and stay relevant without messing everything up. Is it dead? All right, awesome. So we're going to go. That's great. It's funny. So I forgot my cord, and I left my cord. We just ran and got one. I thought that it was going to be good. I do apologize, but it's okay, because this is a presentation that's really about you guys, and I kind of like this. I kind of like this format a little bit better, talking about you guys. You're in a very unique situation. Okay. Oh, I didn't answer your question, did I? So cleanup. So as we're talking about, you know, the big, huge messes of the world, as we're talking about, you know, what dangers, tips, you know, what can happen if you don't get it cleaned? What are some of the worst disasters that have happened? I'm not talking about big, huge world disasters. I'm talking about personal disasters. What personal disasters have happened to people where by not doing it, that actually ended up costing them more down the line, or something to that effect. There's a lot that can be done also from a third world country perspective for that regard. That's one talk to me. I would want to brainstorm on that as well with you a little bit later. Wow, funeral homes, septic tanks. Does anybody have a happy business? What is it? Off-road. I'm sorry. Okay, off-road. Yeah, so going off-roading, like, oh wow, that's fun. Yeah, no brainer. Okay, so action cam, get you GoPro, get you 5 GoPros, get you videos, get you images, get you, underneath shots. Those are the best ones. When you can see it in slow-mo, people jumping over whatever and stuff like that, that's amazing stuff. That's great. That's an easy one. Also the racers, the people, the personalities, huge stuff there. More? One more. Yes, ma'am.
Bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast. Ah, my favorite. I'm actually hopefully going to one soon with my wife. So beauty plays well. There's really 3 things that play very, very well on social media. Okay? There's funny, obviously. Funny, entertaining, that plays extremely well. There is beauty. And what's the third one? Anyone? What are we hopefully doing here today? Learning, education. Okay? Those 3 things play super, super well on social media. With a bed and breakfast, my wife can look at pictures of places and analyze them. And I don't care if you had 70 pictures of a single room, with everything in it. I'm talking about the bed, the view, I don't even know. It sounds ignorant. I don't even know what she looks at, but I watch her look at it, and she can spend a lot of time on that. I know that a lot of people will do that, not just women, but men as well. Will look at these images of beauty and feel, what's happening in that world, what's happening in that house, that bed and breakfast, the outside environment. Do you have an area that is, or are you surrounded by beauty, basically? So yeah, this is, if you happen to own a bed and breakfast that's not, I've known some that are great inside, but then they're in the middle of a city and there's no beauty around them, everything's internalized. That's fine. In that situation, you're in much better shape. You should be able to rock and roll with that. And that's a key, is where we are, here in Adrian. You have tremendous opportunity. And what I mean by opportunity, from a social media perspective, you have reach. You're close enough to the cities, but your localization here is so strong, okay? When we work with car dealers, our most successful ones are not the ones in the heart of LA or Chicago. Our most successful ones are in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Adrian, Michigan, places like that. Okay, why? Because there's community, okay? Because if you're engaged with the community, and I promised myself I wouldn't use the word engaged, but the whole thing threw me off. Pretend like I didn't say that. I hate the word engaged. Use the word if you're talking to, communicating with, if you're embracing the community and really highlighting it to the people, then you'll be in good shape. Now, you also have reach. You are within striking distance, in most cases, with more than one major metro in the area, right? I mean, who gets business outside? Who gets business from Toledo? Who gets business from Detroit? Who is completely localized just to Adrian? Who would like to expand their business in an aggressive manner outside of what they're getting today? Who doesn't want to grow their business? Or who does want to grow their business? Everybody should get your hand up. Unless you really are just satisfied and you don't want to get any more business, you shouldn't put your hand up, okay? If you want more business, social media is one of the ways to do it. How can you do it? Does anybody know what the real difference between search and social is? They're both bodies of water. What's the real difference, though? Search, you're waiting, okay? You're waiting for people. You're putting in a spot, you know, you're fishing in a pond, we'll say, and you're waiting for people to come up. You know, they have to proactively search for you. They have to make that decision. And I'm not saying that search is bad. I do search, okay? But I think people associate search and social too much when they're not really the same thing. Social, you're being proactive. You're going after them. You're getting your stuff in front of them, whether they're looking or not, whether they're buying today, next week, next month, next year. So just keep that in mind. Now, you would be able to see on the screen if I had power. Are you sure there's no way to plug it in? Okay, I guess I don't need this anymore. You would see on the screen if I had power the easiest and fastest way to do it, and that's called engagement ratio. Now this is one where I'd love for you to write it down if possible. The number of likes on a Facebook page is completely irrelevant compared to the number of people talking about this. These are two numbers you can see on any page. You can look at how many people like it. How many fans do you have? And I think that's where everybody focuses. But that's irrelevant compared to the number of people talking about this. And that's the number that you have to focus on. If you take those and divide them, you'll come up with a ratio. If you take number of people talking about this, let's say you have 1,000 fans and you have 50 people talking about this. That means that you have a 5% engagement ratio. 5% of the people that are your fans are talking about this, are engaging with you in some way, right? Well, that engagement ratio will determine if you are truly being successful or not. And I see some of the phones getting out. If you can, go check your page. You can see this publicly. Check the page of your competitors. See where you stand right now with yours on Facebook. If it's too low, then that means you're just not reaching people. I would say that on average a business should be over 2% as a bare minimum. 5% is decent. I've seen pages that get over 100%. Now you're probably asking, how do you get over 100%? How's that even possible? People can engage with your page whether they like it or not. They can like a post just because a friend liked it. There's a lot of things that they can do with that. How do you get that up? Does anybody do Facebook advertising? Anyone at all? Raise your hand if you do Facebook ads. Who's tried Facebook ads and stopped? Anyone? Okay, in the back. How long have you done the Facebook ads?
We've been in business for 3 years and we just started doing Facebook ads probably 6 months ago.
Okay, in front. How long?
Probably 8 months.
Okay. When you look at the results, let me backtrack there. When you compare the reach to what you're getting from other advertising, would you say that it's good? And let me qualify that question. When you compare it to the dollars spent, would you say that it's good?
I think so, yeah.
For the average page that has, say, 2, 3, 5, 10,000 likes, even if you get like 500. $15 will get you your message exposed to around anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 locals, maybe more. And that's if you're just getting started. If you're doing it right, you can get that exposed to much, much more. We're talking the 20, 30, 50,000 range. There's 20,000 people here. You should be able to reach at least half of them. Is that a fair statement? Are you doing that with other forms of advertising? And if you are you doing it for 50 bucks? If you aren't using Facebook ads, you're not using Facebook, okay? It stinks, it's terrible that it has become a pay-to-play model, but it has. And I'm sorry to be the one that tells you this. No, I'm not. I'm actually glad I am, because now that I think about it, it's good that you should be told now, because if you're putting a lot of effort into Facebook and doing all the things that I'm telling you and doing all the things that you're going to hear and things that you're going to read and listening to these people that say, you know, it's all about content, it's all about this, it's all about that. It's not. It's about ads. But you can't do any of that stuff unless you're localizing, unless you're doing everything that I showed you when the screen worked formally before. Pictures of cats don't work. They can if you're a vet, but they won't work otherwise. Yes, ma'am?
Question about that. When Chad was talking about paying for those ads, he was talking about now reaching all of your followers.
Yes.
If you're paying for an ad, are you going beyond just your followers?
Much. Okay, so there's 7 types of Facebook ads, and that's a great question. So the question was, Chad had mentioned, you know, are you going to be reaching, when you pay for ads, are you going to be reaching all of your followers? Maybe he mentioned 16%. I wasn't here, I didn't hear it. Did he mention the 16%? Right now, if you don't pay for it, you can reach about 16% of the people that are following you and about next to nil of the people that aren't following you. So if you have 1,000 fans, that means that you might be able to reach 160 people. With 15 bucks, you can make that 20-fold, okay? And that's why ads have become so important. And unfortunately, that's why it has become pay to play. Thankfully, it doesn't take a whole lot of money to pay in order to play. Now, direct answer to your question. Facebook demographic advertising sounds harder than it is. You can localize. You can say, I only want to focus on people, what is it, funeral home? People over 50, over 60, you know, figure with either parents or themselves who might be. I only want to advertise to those people. I only want to advertise to men, women, people between the age of this or that, people that have this profession, that profession, another profession. I only want to focus on people that are liking a certain type of content, okay? I only want the people that like images, for example. When you do that, they don't have to be liking your page to be able to reach them. I think the last time I checked Clift, they have approximately 2,700 people that like the page, and they reach on an average basis about 20,000 people per week, all within about a 25 to 50 mile radius. No, I think there's just a 50 mile radius. They do this all through advertising. If you don't do the ads, it's not going to work, okay? I don't care how good you are at Facebook. I don't care how good you are at Facebook. I don't care how good you are at Facebook. If you don't do the ads, just a little bit, you know, then it's not going to work. I'm going to throw out a budget here. Who can spend 150 bucks a month on advertising? That's $5 a day. And with $5 a day, you can go from reaching nil or a few or a handful to reaching a very good amount. And the funny part is I wish that you needed people like me to make it happen, but you don't. There's a little button when you go to your page that says promote this page. That's it. Asking for a daily budget, push that button, go to the daily budget, and you're started. Now that's not the best way to do it, but it's a quick, easy way. And it's something that will definitely work. And try it out. For $5 a day, I sound like I'm about to say, you know, for the price of a cup of coffee, you can save a child. And no, but for $5 a day, you can increase your business dramatically and reach people that are out there in your local area. First and foremost, let me apologize. I'm so sorry. That's my bad, completely. The whole thing. But you didn't lose a whole lot. I think I made it through all of my points, maybe a little bit more sporadically. Secondly, I'd like to get to questions. But most importantly, if you have any specific examples that you'd like me to talk about, things that you want to ask as far as, you know, how can you make septic tank interesting? How can you make that social mediable, basically? I'm a firm believer that you can do it with almost anything. And when I say almost, it's only because I haven't tried it enough to be able to come to get stumped. There's some way to make almost everything interesting. We did work for Salesforce, Salesforce.com for a while. You talk about bland. I mean, this is CRM, okay? Customer relationship management is their focus. How can you possibly use that, right? How can you make that fun and interesting on social media? It was tough, but we did it. We worked with a small company, Google, that's right. I worked with Google for a while, and we were handling their social media. I know that sounds kind of weird. It's like, wow, how can you work on Google social media? We were doing infographics for them, and it was pretty fun and a little bit intimidating, especially when you go to their campus. But they, quite frankly, aren't that interesting as a core. What they do with search is bland. So you have to sometimes go outside. It doesn't matter if 95% of their business comes from search advertising. On social media, we didn't touch search. We focused on everything else they're doing. Google Loon, that was a big one. Balloons flying around trying to get internet around the world. So if you have any questions about that, definitely ask those. Any questions about how you can tell if your social media stinks, and any questions about how to do a presentation when your PowerPoint dies, I'm here to answer those questions. So, yes. Oh, you were scratching your nose, not raising your hand. That's embarrassing. Next. Any questions? Yes.
My name is Bailey. I work for a company called Internet Technologies, located here in Adrian, and we have expanded our business. We're growing quite rapidly for the space that we have. We do digital signage, so they're basically digital business cards, and we have them located in restaurants. The equipment is ours, so if the company decides to get rid of it, then we just take our equipment out, but we advertise their businesses and their specials there on those screens, and then we sell the rest of the advertisement. We're having problems finding people who are interested in advertising with those screens. They're really cool. They're based out of PowerPoint, but we reprogram everything, configure it 3 or 4 times to be able to get it back up on the screen to run on a consistent basis. But the thing is, like I said, we're having a lot of problems finding people to want to advertise. How do you recommend we go about finding other companies to advertise on it? It's an all-exclusive thing. So if we have a plumber on the screens at Rucker, we have no other plumbers on those screens.
Sure. Bailey, and what was the name of the company?
Internet Technologies.
Bailey from Internet Technologies, right around the area. So the concept is that you have advertising that you're trying to sell. B2B is definitely different than B2C when it comes to social media. In this case, you would have to utilize what's called lists. If you want to, and it's funny because Facebook and LinkedIn are the 2 best places for you to be able to advertise, even more so than search, in your case, going B2B. Now you'll need to get lists, and you'll need to be talking to these lists. In other words, and when I say email lists, I'm not talking about emailing them at all. You want to be targeting them on Facebook, and you want to be putting ads through Facebook that target them specifically. Who knew that you can use emails to target on Facebook? Okay, yeah. I always think it's common knowledge. They didn't do a very good job of letting you know. You know, you could take a list of businesses, local businesses in the area, local people, doesn't matter. Plug it into Facebook, it'll cross-reference, and then you can select those people, and those are the only people that you're going to advertise to. If you ever want to use Facebook for marketing to past customers, oh, awesome. If you want to use it for your purchasing list and trying to advertise to others that way, that's the best way to do it. Now, in your situation, Bailey, get you a list, okay, of local businesses, anyone who might be there, and hyper-target them. And what I mean by hyper-target, this is going to be hard, but you can talk to them directly. If I were to create an ad right now on Facebook, and I would say, I want to target people from Orange County who run social media marketing firms who are under 30, okay, fine, under 40, who are currently in Adrian, Michigan. I could actually create an ad that only goes to me, and I could write in that ad, hey JD, you're talking to yourself, you're not crazy, but you could target these ads to specific people. So the point I'm trying to make is this. If you have somebody's email address, you can target an ad to them directly. and I would actually put a picture. If you're only going to have the, like you said, the exclusivity, you're only going to be targeting plumbers, I would create an ad with the image being Adrian Plumber, one Adrian Plumber gets this spot, for example. And then just target 30, 50, 100 Adrian Plumbers and send them to, but that's a good question. Other questions? Last call for businesses that want to, oh, yes, ma'am.
What would you recommend to do to connect with international communities?
Good question. So if, so there's good and bad. The question was, what would you do to interact and engage with international communities? Now, first question there is this going to be local international communities? In other words, internationals in the local area? Okay, gotcha, very good. Very similar to, and this is the beauty of Facebook demographics, is that you can divide by language, you can divide by culture, you can divide by city. You can target people based upon exactly what they want. So let's say, just for example, you have an ad that is Spanish speaking, or you wanted to target Spanish speaking people. You're thinking, oh, but I don't want to post that on Facebook, right? Well, of course you do. You just only want it visible to Spanish speaking people. And that's the beauty of Facebook advertising, is being able to target those people specifically. You can go based upon culture. You go based upon preferences. You know, if you know a page, you can actually target that page's people. In other words, if you, let's say the Italian food lovers of Adrian. Yeah, I made that up, but there should be one, by the way. But Italian food lovers of Adrian, you target them only. And you put out ads specifically for whatever might appeal to them. Advertising, again, I don't keep going back to Facebook advertising as if I work for Facebook, which I don't, but it just works. There's so many amazing things that you can do with it. Any oh, yes. Oh, again, scratching his head. Any other examples or ones where you want to ask me what to do with your business? Yes, sir. Or ma'am, sorry. Light. Uh-huh.
We had just a regular Facebook page for our business.
Sure.
And then there's 2 group pages.
Uh-huh.
So now we have to start this business page.
Right.
So we have like 10,000 friends with 3 things, but I have no clue. You know, it's this crazy question.
No, it's very common.
Those people transferred over to our business. How do you do that?
Okay.
And then I know that during all of those pages are going to be harmful, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Rather, yeah.
Depends. So there's 2 questions there, 2 good questions. First question was, I've got a profile that I created for my business. It's not a page, not a business page. I created a profile. Also have a couple of groups. Between them, there's about 10,000 people. I want to do it the right way now and create a page. How do I do that? Okay, so that's question number 1. And that is a very specific set of things. First and foremost, you can turn a profile into a page. Like you can, there's a link that you go to. See me afterwards, I'll find it. There's a link that you can go to, and you can basically just say, I made this profile, I need this to be a page. Okay, and they'll do that. Now, if you've already created a page, you still want to do that. You want to take the old page, or the old profile, and convert it into a page. Then you want to contact Facebook and ask them to combine those pages. You don't have to contact them. It's not like calling them. There's a way to combine and consolidate 2 pages into one. You pick a primary page and a secondary page, okay? And whichever one the primary page is, all those posts will stay. All you're doing, and the secondary page, all those posts will disappear. All you're doing is bringing over the fans, the check-ins, all of that good stuff. With groups, I have no idea, never tried. I'm going to have to look that up for you. But I think it's possible. You had a follow-up question? Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, or just make it private. You know, there's stuff. We'd have to look at it. And that's the beauty of social media. And that's why I'm asking for specific things, because it is the specifics that really make the difference. Now, what was the second part of the question? I already forgot. Oh, multiple pages, right. So yes, you know, it's possible to, and good, to have multiple Facebook pages or Google Plus pages. It's a whole different story that probably we don't have enough time for. Definitely for Twitter, not for Pinterest so much, not for Instagram. But for multiple Facebook pages, as long as you can manage it, it's definitely possible to do that. Not only is it possible, but it can be beneficial. I'm going to use a car dealership as an example. I know a dealership, not Cliffs yet, maybe in the future, but I do know a car dealership that has a page specifically for fresh trade-ins. Every time a trade-in comes in, Facebook is the first place that sees it. Before it gets cleaned up, before it gets priced, before it goes through service, and they try to get it to where they actually get the previous owner to tell something about it, you know? What happened? Why are you trading this in? Well, you know, I really love it. I'm going to miss it, but we got our third on the way, so it's time to move up to the SUV. You know, going to miss my old car. And they put these videos on this page that's specifically designed for those. I've seen businesses that use customer testimonial pages. They put their customer testimonials on their Facebook page, but they have a page that's specifically designed for customer testimonials, and then they incentivize the people that are giving the testimonial to encourage them to have their friends like that post. It's and by incentivizing, you usually giving away something free. So there's a whole FCC thing there that I don't want to get into, but it would definitely work if you have the time to manage more than one page. That's the real key. If you have the time, then you can do it. Don't bite off more than you can chew. There's nothing worse than having an abandoned page. Other questions or examples? Yeah.
Another client I have is in the textile industry down in Guatemala.
Textile industry in Guatemala.
She wanted to use Facebook to target businesses in the U.S.
Use Facebook to target businesses in the U.S.
The ads that you spoke about are targeted demographics of individuals. So how could she target specific businesses?
Sure. Okay. So if I'm understanding this, so we're talking B2B for sure. Okay. So the ads can definitely target businesses, but you're still having to target the people. The main thing, and this goes back to a question of, do we target based upon lists? If we can get a list of businesses and the email addresses of the contact people there, that would be ideal. If we can't, then it gets a little tougher, but it's doable. Now you have to start going after, so what could it be that makes these people special? You know, if they're in the textile industry, let's see, oh, I got it. What if they just check for, people, you can actually type in textiles and target only the people that have expressed some kind of interest. Now, does that mean that it's going to be only those people that are decision makers in it? No, but Facebook, more than anything else, is a bulk game. You need to be able to handle it in bulk. In other words, you need to be able to make sure that if you want to reach 100 people very well, you're going to have to reach 1,000 people, period. If you want to reach 10 people and target them specifically, you're probably going to have to reach at least those 100 people that you're targeting very well. And to get after them, you're going after 1,000. So get as many as you can. The beauty of Facebook is that, again, it's not that expensive. For the price of a cup of coffee, okay? Help a child. Okay, any other questions, comments, thoughts? Yes?
You commented about setting a schedule to manage your social media and that you can do it in 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes a day.
How?
We'll try to do that answer in less than 10 minutes. I'm going to talk fast, so I'm going to drink real quick. So you have a post. Post that you're putting up on your blog could be on some type of content place. That content place could be Flickr, it could be your blog, it could be your website itself, it could be YouTube. You take this piece of content and then you get it up it's in long form now. Now you're taking it down to the slightly smaller form on Facebook and Google+. So you take the content, put it on Facebook, put it on Google+, with anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 5 sentences. They can take longer format. From there, you then go to Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram and do the shorter variation of it. Something that's going to fit under 140 characters. Now, yes, on Pinterest and Instagram, you can go over 140 characters, but you still want to keep it tweetable, even if it's on Pinterest or Instagram. So taking it down the hierarchy, taking it from the top level content, whether that content is something that you created, something that you found, something that you discovered, I guess, which is found or discovered, either way, if you find it or discover it, then you want to post it and then you take it right down the line. When you're done getting the post up there, you look at your Facebook. Is anybody talking to me? Look at my notifications. Is there 9? Is there 90? If there's 90, you can't do it in 10 minutes a day. But you're not going to get to 90 if you're only spending 10 minutes a day. You're going to get a defensive posture. So it's kind of a self-fueling defense. In other words, by spending only 10 minutes a day, I only have to spend 10 minutes a day. It's not circular reasoning, actually, as you really think about it. If you spend more time and or money on it, and bump up to 20, 30, an hour a day, now you have the ability to take it to the next level, okay? But start off with, get a post up there, check your notifications on Facebook, check your tweets, DMs, direct messages, and or @replies. Talk to anybody who said anything to you. Go into Pinterest, there probably won't be anything there, but check it anyway, Google Plus and Instagram. You cover those 5, you're good. Now if you're a business, add LinkedIn to there. Okay, by business, I'm saying if you're targeting businesses. B2B, you've got to include LinkedIn. B2C, do not include LinkedIn. If you are a B2C company, do not try to sell on LinkedIn. Okay, get talent on LinkedIn. Don't try to sell on it. But great question. Was that under 10 minutes? Okay. Last question or comment. Yes. Why can't you can't be the last question? You're the host. Great question. So the question is, where do you go? Facebook is terrible at telling people what happened. Does anybody know, has anybody seen the thumb on Facebook, the like thumb? You ever seen that on any websites? Come on, you're not that tired. If you ever seen the thumb, the Facebook thumb, I don't thank you. You know that you're not going to see those very much anymore? They're gone. Facebook got rid of it yesterday. Who knows Facebook's got video ads coming? Coming very, very soon. They were supposed to come in May. Then they were supposed to come in November. Now they're saying 2014. Where can you get all this information is the question. And how can you possibly keep up? Because Facebook is terrible at letting people know. My place that I go is called Alltop. It's social-media.alltop, ALLTOP.com. Of course, you could always go to sociable.com, SOSHABLE, and get it there. But alltop.com is all of the blogs. And then I would do a search for Facebook or LinkedIn, if that's your interest. And keep in mind, if you are doing B2B, LinkedIn does rock over Facebook. Okay, last question. Somebody, ma'am? You raised your hand.
I did raise my hand because you opened the door.
Uh-oh.
Where you go to find this out. I'm here from Washington Community College. We offer classes.
Oh!
Social media.
Here's where you go.
Because there was so many people that needed to understand where.
Say that again.
Washington Community College has an e-marketing certificate and social media classes, and we found people coming to our Facebook Oh How Fun class that they came into class and their words were, somebody told me we had to have a Facebook page for our business.
It's true.
So we knew it wasn't the social, personal one, so therefore that's where it grew. But yeah, that's all of this is addressed. So thank you for the opportunity.
No, absolutely. This is about localization.
I'm sorry that it was 100% content and really not much social.
No, but it's okay, because here's the thing. The answer to your question, the real answer, is in this room. You all are the business leaders of the community, whether you know it or not. The fact that you're here, spending time learning, trying to take it to the next level, participating, asking questions, challenging us, challenging each other. I don't care if you've got 5 clients, 5,000 clients. You guys are the future. And when a place locally can help out, that's much better than anything I could do, I assure you. But I can do a lot. JD Rucker, Social, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all. And sorry about the problems.